Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Hines on Air, your weekly dose of inspiration, motivation, and real-life entrepreneurial stories. I'm Matt Hines, your host, and I'm excited to have you join me on this journey. From building a successful law firm to venturing into other industries like real estate and social media, I've experienced both the triumphs and the challenges that come with entrepreneurship. I've learned firsthand the importance of resilience, adaptability, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. On Hines on Air, we're diving deep into the world of business, law, and personal growth. Join me as I chat with incredible guests who have faced adversity, defied expectations, and achieved extraordinary success. We'll discuss their strategies, their mindset, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply someone looking for a little inspiration, Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories. Let's get started.
We want to thank our sponsor, Bravos Leadership. Bravos Leadership is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and other business-minded people grow their companies and achieve their goals in life. They're having a major event on June 21st that's going to have some of the best business minds on the planet, including Grant Cardone. So get your tickets today.
Hey everybody, Matt Hines. We are back at you with another Hines on Air. And I tell you what, we just attended a business conference about a month ago. And this is 10X with Grant Cardone. And he had one of his key speakers on stage. And they asked that speaker, of all the things in business, what is the most important part? And the response was sales. If you can't close that deal, get the business, get the money, like you're wasting a whole lot of effort and time and everything else. Well, today we have a sales expert. We are joined by Stefani Havel. She is a sales strategist, certified disc facilitator. She goes around coaching corporations, businesses, lots of other people to get them set up to be successful in sales. So welcome, Stefani. Welcome to the show.
All right. Thanks, Matt. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no, tell us a little bit. What is the disc facilitator? What does that mean?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So DISC is a framework, and it's that I teach on it. It really is basically about communication. It's about how people really communicate or are wired to think in 4 different ways. And it's all about when people understand how people are wired to communicate, that's where you can have in sales more influence, more connections, build those relationships. Because it's about learning that not everybody communicates the same way we do. I'm a very high energy, go-getter person. When I'm talking to people in sales, I tend to tell stories. Some people, they want that information. They receive it or process it more straight to the point. Some people are more logical, analytical. And there's people that are more creative and emotional. So what the DISC framework is gives you a way to help understand how those different behavior styles, how they process information, how they like to receive information. And therefore, it helps you better sell to those different behavior styles. So I teach people to not only understand your behavior style, but then also how to recognize it in other people so you can create those connections and turn leads into loyal clients or your conversations into contracts.
Okay. Is that something you could summarize for us or give us a little bit of like, what are the 4 types?
Yes, absolutely. So it's DISC. So D is the first one. D is more of a left brain thinker. They're very straight and to the point, very direct. These are people, if you're selling to a high D behavior style, get to the point. They don't want a lot of fluff. They don't need all the details. Just tell me how much is going to cost? What's my bottom line? You got to talk results with them. If you get too much in the weeds about telling stories or data analytics, you're going to lose them. And they're not going to want to buy from you because they want you to just get straight into the point. The I behavior style, that's what we call the influencer. Now, these people are more charismatic, high energy. This is more my behavior style. We're more storytellers. We want to know if you're selling to an I behavior style, you want to talk about stories. What other clients are using this product? Who's used your product or your service and had some success? We're about the fun and the energy. So if you're that direct, straight to the point behavior style and you're trying to sell to somebody like me, you might have to be a little less direct, soften up the directness a little bit and, share a story with me, bring it down a little bit. And that's how you're going to connect with me. Then there's the S style, which we call the steady. Now, these people are more stable. They're more patient. They don't like a lot of change. They often will not make a decision right away. They like to think things through, and they're very collaborative. So again, when we're talking sales, if you are selling to an S behavior style, you want to make sure that you give them some of the facts. You give them time to think about it. They're not going to be, if you say, well, what do you think? You're ready to go? They're going to be like, no, I think I need to think about it. And that's where you can come in and say, great, how can I support you? What other information can I provide for you to help you make the decision? They're going to appreciate that. If you come at that S person too hard, too direct, too to the point, they're going to shut down and you're going to hear crickets. They're not going to buy from you because they don't appreciate that direct, straight to the point approach. And that's where that adaptability comes in. And then the C behavior style, these people, that's that left brain again, very logical, analytical. They want to know all the facts. They want to know all the details. They want to know all the ingredients, everything. Sometimes they suffer from analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Because they want to know all of those details. So if you're a high I style like myself, if I find that I have a C client, somebody that's asking me about my sales and my training program, they're going to want to know, how long is the training going to last? What am I all going to talk about? How is it going to benefit their employees? What is going to be the cost? How many times am I going to come and teach? They want to know all of those details, and they're going to read the contract word for word. If I just say, you know what, it's just going to be fun. I'll teach for a couple of hours. We'll do a little of this, a little of that. That C person, they're not going to respect me. They're not going to want to buy from me because I'm glossing over those details. So again, it's understanding what your style is, how you communicate, how you process, but then recognizing how other people want to be technically sold to or how they want to communicate, and then being able to adapt it so that you build those connections with them. That builds trust, builds those relationships, and builds those connections.
So how do you start categorizing that person? Do you take like the first 5 minutes and say, am I dealing with a D, an I, S, a C, and then go in for the kill, or what? How do you use all that?
Yeah, great question. And people ask that a lot because sometimes we're meeting the person, we're meeting people in person or over the phone. So if you have an actual chance to talk to the person, and it works the same way if you're emailing or texting. But the best question, if you're listening to this, I want you to write it down, is the very first thing you should talk to or say to your client to be able to identify their style is, tell me, what are the 3 most important things to you? Okay. And so what that does is, one, that's a great question to start out. Why did somebody come to me? When somebody comes to me about sales training or communication, great. What brought you here? As terms of sales and communication training, what are the 3 most important things to you? And based on the way that person responds is going to help me understand how to respond to them. And it's also like, have you ever heard of Chris Voss? He's the negotiator guy. He talks about how to communicate in terms of negotiations. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically, he talks about a technique called mirroring. And that's a little bit what the DISC style is. So when I ask somebody, what are the 3 most important things to you in sales? If they come back to me and they say, you know what, Stephanie, the 3 most important things to me is, I want results. I want to grow our business. I want results. I want to connect with my people, and I want to expand. I just need those 3 things. Great. That's that high D person. I'm going to say, okay, great. You want results? What kind of results are you looking for? What time frame? I'm going to come right back at them with that direct, straight to the point approach. If I start kind of coming in and saying, well, I could do a couple of this and I could do some of that, they're going to be like, okay, just get to the point. If I don't do that with them, you tend to lose them. Now, if I ask somebody, what are the 3 most important things to you? And they say, well, I really, I want to have some fun. I want to bring joy. I want to make sure that everybody's getting along and this is a lot of fun and it's innovative and it's exciting. Okay, that's that I personality, the influence, the charismatic. When I ask the question about what's important to you, and the S style, that steady person will say, well, I want to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for everybody. They talk about collaboration. They're going to pause before they answer. They might say, that's a great question. I kind of want to think about it. I guess I'm not sure what all 3 things are important to me. And then that C behavior style is going to say, what's important to me? Well, I want to make sure that my team is trained. I want to make sure that there's an established process throughout the training. I want to know what are the step-by-steps and how long is it going to take? Are we going to be in classroom? Is there going to be any interaction, moving around? Or are we just going to be reading out of textbooks? Are you going to give us some handouts? They want a lot of details. So again, when you hear in their voice, what is most important to them? The way that they deliver that information to you is how you want to deliver back to them. If they're straight and to the point with you, get straight and to the point. Now, that's not my style. I tend to, if you haven't guessed already, I like to tell stories. I talk a lot. But if I don't get straight and to the point with that D person, they're going to cut me off and they'll be like, okay, great, I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might lose them because they're thinking, you know what? She doesn't get it. I don't like this style, whatever. Now, I can still deliver it with my high energy and a lot of fun, but they don't want all the fluff. I just need to get straight and to the point with them. Or I have to be prepared. If I'm talking to that high C, that conscientious person, I need to make sure that I have all of my facts ready. How long are my classes? How much it's going to cost? What are the handouts? What are the results? I need to be prepared. Some people don't care about that. Other people do. So making sure that you are giving them what they ask for, and then you repeat it back. So Stephanie, you mentioned the 3 most important things to you were A, B, and C. If I can provide all of those things for you, would you be ready to make a decision? The D person is going to be like, yep, sounds great. Let's go. The I person, woo, yeah, that sounds like fun. Your S and C people are going to hesitate. They're like, I'll have to think about it. I got to talk to somebody else in HR. Great. How about if I call you back, will you be able to talk to them by Friday at 3:00? How about I'm looking at my calendar right now. If I could call you back tomorrow on 2:00, would that work for you? You have to lock those people into a time. Give them time to think about it, but then you need to follow up with a call. And most people will just let them go. They'll be like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll just circle back with you. We'll just follow up later. No. Lock them into a time and appointment, because sometimes those people suffer from that analysis paralysis or overthinking, and they'll never make a decision.
Right.
So you've got to kind of lock them in to a time, and they'll appreciate that and respect you giving them the time to think about it. But they'll also respect the fact that you've set up a time to rediscuss it and go over the details once again, which they're going to want. So
For the
how does that sound? Does that feel like that resonates with you?
Oh, completely. It's just especially the S's, the S and the C's. We run into a lot of, depending on, I work with some different companies. One is, I got to talk to my spouse. Of course, that's too much. I can't afford that right now is a common one. What do you say to those people who say, I just don't know. Let me go home and think about it and talk to my spouse. What do you say? I know you said, all right, set up another appointment and get them on the calendar. They may or may not show up. Are there any other tactics you have there?
Yeah. Well, number one, again, asking them. That's great. So when you talk to your spouse, what is the conversation that you're going to be having? Let's talk through that, because I want to make sure when you go talk to your spouse or you talk to your manager or whoever it is that's involved in this decision, I want to make sure that we're clear on the information that you're giving them.
You're right.
So let's repeat back those 3 things that you said were most important to you. Have them repeat them back to you, because oftentimes what happens is it's like the game of telephone, right? You're talking to something, and then you tell the next person, and then by the time it gets back to them, it's all wrong. So make sure that when they say, I need to go talk to somebody else, find out exactly, have them repeat back to you what they're going to say. And then they'll appreciate you clarifying the thing. So let's clarify what it is that you wanted to think about. So when you have that conversation with your spouse, you can feel confident in what you're telling them. They are going to appreciate that. They appreciate the support, the confidence, the time to think things through. So when they tell you they need to think about it or talk to somebody else, a lot of people think that's a smokescreen. It's not always. They truly need to think about it.
Right.
But ask them, have them repeat back to you what their 3 most important things were and how they're going to communicate that to their spouse. And then is there any other information that they might need from you before you hang up, before they go make that decision, that you could help them when they communicate that to the other person, that they're clear on what they're presenting. It'll work every single time. People often try to go in too hard at them and say, okay, well, what do you need me to clear up? What do you got to think about? Don't do that to them. Don't pressure them. They don't succumb to the pressure, but ask them, get clarity. Have them tell you what they're going to tell the other person.
How do you know if it's just delay tactic or if they truly have to talk to the spouse?
Well, it's a question, I think, when you're in your discovery phase. Another question I always ask is, are you the key decision maker? I worked in mortgage and finance for 25 years. That was my corporate job. And that was often the case. We would deal with, maybe the husband was getting relocated, but then the wife was the one handling all the paperwork, or vice versa. Parents were involved in helping the kids with the financing. So just a great question everyone should be asking with every client. Not only what are the 3 most important things to you? Okay, great. Are you the key decision maker? Are there other people that are going to be joining you in making this decision? Yeah, I don't do anything without running this past my husband. Or my boss makes all the final decision. Great. Tell me a little bit about your boss. Find out who the other decision maker is. What is their communication style?
Yeah, no, that's good. When we'll go to a new office or whatever, and we say, we'd like an appointment with the office manager. And you go in there, and you assume they're the decision maker. But you might be talking to the wrong person for an hour. And, they go back to the owner or the whoever who just shoots it down. And you were like, what I just wasted an hour. Like, I think finding the decision maker is a very necessary first step or second step or whatever.
And that's, so just going back to that example, Matt, like, what is that conversation? Like, if you're going into this meeting, you've talked to the office manager, did we even ask that question? I think sometimes people do. They get so excited we got an appointment. And then, like you said, you get there and you realize that the office manager isn't the one that makes the decision. So when you're in that discovery call and setting up the appointment, again, so, hey, Joe, are you the primary decision maker in this? Or do you have to run this by senior leadership? Who's the one that makes the final decision? Well, that would be, my boss. I present him all the information, but then my boss has the final say. Great. Well, let's run through this information. Tell me a little bit about your boss. Is he a direct and straight to the point person? Is he more, and then you want to understand the behavior style of the decision maker. So you start asking those questions. What's important to your boss? Oh man, he's all about the ROI. He just wants to know the bottom line. Great. Now with this office manager, you got to make sure that they have all those bullet points ready so that when they go to that when they go to their CEO or their boss, they're going to give them all the bullet points so he can make a quick decision. Right? But it really does come down to those discovery questions. What's important to them? And again, who else is the decision maker in this? Who else is going to help you decide? And then ask them, tell me a little bit about that person. Do they make decisions quickly or do they tend to think things through a little bit? Because you want to know that communication style of the person that you're dealing with that's going to make the decision.
Yeah, one thing, give me your opinion of this. One thing that we've used, and so if I've coached somebody on sales, for the S and the C's, if you go through a list of characteristics and advantages for one product, let's say you're selling cars, right? And you're like, well, this car has great gas mileage, and it's very comfortable, and it's got leather seats, da-da-da. Now, this car is good because it's got more space, and it accelerates better, its horsepower is good. Which one would you like? When you give them a choice, you sort of lock up the brain or their mind or however. It's certainly if they're an S or a C, I would think. So instead of saying, here's your choice, why don't you decide, you tell them, you know what, based on what you've told me, go with car A. That is perfect for you. We're going to get you on a good finance deal. You're going to ride out of here a happy person. Instead of giving them and making them decide. Would you agree with sort of pointing them to one rather than giving them all these options and letting them just sit there and mull over it for a year?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially that C behavior style, the analytical one, because they'll want to know the treads on the tires. What is the life of the battery? So giving them options, but make sure you give them the details. If you don't give them the details or you don't let them know that that's important, that's where you lose them. And again, it's right when they're coming in, what's important to you in buying a car? Well, I want good gas mileage. I want it fast and I want it safe. Okay, fine. This is a car for you. It's going to get this mileage. It's going to go this fast. If they say, well, I want something, I drive my kids around a lot, or I have to take clients in my car, then speak to those benefits, right? This is a great car.
Yeah.
It's going to provide a lot of room for your kids, or this one here. Based off of what, like you said it, based off of what you told me was important to you, sounds like this would be the right one. Does that make sense? Or is there anything more? Are there any other questions or any other features that you'd want me to go over with you? Always ask to check in. Is there anything else that I didn't answer for you? Do you have any other questions about this car? They're always going to come back with a question.
But
always.
Would you ask that, though, if they look like they've decided? Because I've seen so many people get to a good point and then say, is there anything else? And that just opens up a world of shit. It's like, okay, why did you create this? Not you, but this other person. Like, why did you create an issue? They didn't need that. They didn't need any more data. They had it. They were there. You had them. And the more you talk, the more you're going to create more questions and probably delay this whole thing. You ever see that happen?
We want to thank our sponsor, Bravos Leadership. Bravos Leadership is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and other business-minded people grow their companies and achieve their goals in life. They're having a major event on June 21st that's going to have some of the best business minds on the planet, including Grant Cardone. So get your tickets today.
Well, that's that high-eye behavior style, which is my style, and that's where I always realize too, sometimes people can talk too much, and they talk them right out of it. That's why, again, when I say, is there anything else, go back to those three things. Keep it to the three things. Of these three things, Matt, that we talked about, do you need any more clarification? Is there anything else that I could answer for you in terms of those three things that you listed were the most important to you? That's what helps that S&C style, those overthinkers, the analytical, the logical.
Right.
That's what helps it narrow down. And you're going to gain their respect because they're going to be like, wow, she was really listening to me. I told her that the battery life, the safety ratings, and the mileage was important. And she actually remembered that. She listened to me. That's what they pick up on, is that you listen to them. And that's where that mirroring technique that those negotiators talk about. That's a way to win a negotiation. It's just mirroring back the way they're speaking, their tone, right? A lot of salespeople are a high D or a high I. They want to get to the point. They want to tell stories. They get super excited. Yeah. And that's where they lose the influence and the connection with that S&D style, because they don't want to slow down. They don't want to get in the details. It's like, poke two needles in my eyes if I have to give you all these details. That's where I teach in the DISC framework about adaptability. If that's anything you get out of this, one size does not fit all, right? Being able to adapt your communication style to that of your client, you're going to win, influence, and build that relationship every time. Every time.
Yeah, that makes sense. You made me think of something, because I brought up car shopping as just an example, but I'm going to use it again. When I'm looking for a car, there may be a car that's fantastic, perfect, just my dream car, being sold by salesman A, and there may be a pretty good car. It's nice. I like it. Being sold by salesman B. If I like salesman B more, I'll probably buy that car, regardless of which car was actually better. It's that you can make that relationship connect. You just kind of go with it. It just feels right. You're just happy to do it. It just feels good. Yeah.
Well, one thing, and I'm sure, maybe you heard this in Grant's session, and it's in sales, we hear it all the time. People want to do business with somebody that they know, that they like, and they trust. Okay.
Yeah.
How do they get to know you? Again, by you asking those questions of what's important to them. A lot of salespeople, I see it, they just start right away talking about, well, this is great, this is great, this is great. It doesn't matter, right? I have a client, and she's in the moving business, right? She owns 19 years, a woman-owned business, and she helps people in the senior space when mom or dad or grandma has to downsize or move to assisted living. And she came to me because she said, I'm struggling in my sales. I'm having all these great conversations with people, but then they don't buy. And I think it's because my competition is just doing it cheaper than me. And I can't compete. I'm losing sales. I don't know what to do because I can't keep up with their price. I said, Kathy, it's not all about price. It's not always about price. And she's like, well, I feel like it is. So when her and I talk, her behavior style is a S, right? So she doesn't make decisions right away. She likes to process information. That's how she was selling to every client. She was showing up and she's telling them all the things that she does in terms of moving. And then, okay, well, I'll just let you think about it. She wasn't setting up follow-up appointments. When I started having her ask the questions, what are the three most important things? she was blown away. Some people were like, are you going to make sure you patch up all the holes in the wall? Are you going to make sure you bubble wrap all my china? And then I want to make sure that my grandma's hutch is going to fit into my new location. She wasn't talking about those things in her presentation, because to her, of course, I'm going to patch the walls, and of course we bubble wrap it, and we do a floor plan to make sure your furniture fits. When she started asking what was important to them, and they would say those three things, she turned back to this client. She said, I don't think I have a chance of winning it at all. The other company is 20% cheaper than me. Said, Kathy, you ask them the three most important things. You go back and tell them, and said, yes, you know what? With every move, we offer a free floor plan. So all of logistics, everything's going to fit in your new space. When we move a home, this is our 10-point checklist that we do. And one of the things is patching up all the holes in the wall. And then we use this grade of bubble wrap paper and everything in all of our moves and extra packing boxes. We do all of that. The client said, perfect, you're hired. She said, my jaw dropped. I can't, yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, she's like, that's it? That's it?
What?
Because she responded to them in a way. She said, I couldn't believe it. They didn't need to think about it. I said, because not everybody's like you. Not everybody needs to think about it. You asked the questions. You found the solution to their problem, and they hired you. And they felt like, you know what? This woman, she knows me. She knows that I want the holes on my walls patched up. She knows that I want a floor plan. Why? Because they told them that, right? So now they think that this woman knows me, and I like her, and I trust her because she's going to do all the three things that I asked her to do. And they're not realizing, like, you told me those are the three things. And now, because she listened and she repeated back the most important things to them, and in a way that, they were very detailed. They want to know the bubble wrap. They wanted to know that the hutch was going to fit and where. The floor plan, this other company was just coming at a lower price. They were offering floor plans. They were offering the 10-point checklist, nothing. And they didn't know them at all. It's just some big company. Yeah. And her business right now, we started working together last year in July, and she's doing her taxes. And she finished up, she said, Stephanie, I'm doing my taxes. I'm up in October right now. And as October, for just that short time that you and I are working together, my business is doubled. It's up over 300% from the year before. She was averaging 1 to 2 moves a month. She is consistently, every month since we started working together, doing 6 moves a month. And that's her max. She said, I can't do more than that. I don't have the staff and the capacity. But consistently every month. And when I asked her, I said, okay, so what do you contribute all this success to? She said, well, you, which I want to say thank you, but it wasn't me. I said, Kathy, you did the work. And she said, so I said, let's talk through it. And she said, yeah. She said, when I started asking what was important to them, repeating it back, and then setting up appointments, because her style was to not push, not be salesy, right? A lot of people are afraid of being salesy. She would set that follow-up appointment. She said almost every time, they didn't even wait for the follow-up appointment. Because she gave them that time and respected their time and their space and set up the appointment, she said 9 times out of 10, the people call her back ahead of time because they have to talk to their kids or the trustee or the executor, right? And moving, that's always a lot of things going on. When she respected their time, she earned their trust. She earned her trust, and she's been closing deals every month. So I love that example because it's just somebody that really embraced the communication styles, really realizing that not everybody's like her. Not everybody needs to wait to think about things. For me, my style, I make a decision really quickly. Now, sometimes it comes back to bite me in the you-know-what. But I can make it, I buy off a feeling and emotion and excitement. Get me excited about that car. Tell me that it's going to be pretty. It's got some sparkles. It's going to be fun. It's got a great sound system. I'm in. You just sold me.
I've also seen, speaking of asking questions, you were mentioning your friend there, your client, talking to them, asking a question, and then the person never doing anything. I've seen questions be used as a reason to not ask for money because people are afraid to just ask for the money. So again, I don't know.
What do you mean by that? Like ask for the business? Do you mean like actually ask for the sale? Or
yeah, like say, well, this is going to be $5,000. Just saying that, some people in their minds, and I was like this in the beginning because I was broke, and to ask somebody for $5,000 was just unreal. Like, I'm broke. How the hell are they going to pay me $5,000? They're probably broke too. I don't know. I didn't have it worked out in my mind. So, you'd ask questions forever without ever just saying, okay, good. Well, can we get started now? It'll be $5,000 down. And why don't we get your paperwork done now and we'll start your case tomorrow and just do it. But
right. Exactly. That's a great example. And that just comes back to, again, the salesperson making it all about themselves.
Yeah.
Thinking that, well, I wouldn't spend $5,000 on this. Okay. Well, do you not think it's valuable then? Do you not think it's worth it? Well, of course. Like Kathy, I said, Kathy, do you think what the service you offer is the price that you charge is worth it? Is it value? Absolutely. I said, so you believe in your product, right?
Right.
That's what you're selling. You're not throwing up on them and selling. You're selling the value.
Yeah.
You're selling what you believe in.
Right.
And people will feel that. They'll see that and they'll know and they'll want to pay it. Just because, people do a lot of, I see that all the time. People project their own insecurities or their own thought processes on their clients.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
Again, going back to the disc, not everybody thinks and processes information the same way. And if you try to sell to every client how you like to buy, how you want to be sold to, that's where that disconnect happens. And that's where you miss out. That's where those misconnections, the lost sale. You can greatly influence your clients, turn those conversations into contracts when you can speak their language. Get out of your own head, right? Because if I can solve, like I asked Kathy, every time they come up with something, can you solve it? She said, yeah, of course. She said, I can't believe some of the questions they ask me, like something so simple that's so elementary in her business, but it's important to the client. So, okay, if I could solve A, B, and C for you, would you decide that you're ready to move forward? 99.9% of the time, they're going to say yes. Now, your S and C might come back and you're like, well, I'm not sure. I got to think about this. Okay, let's go back over the three things again. What are the three things that you're not sure about or you like to think about? Let me clarify those for you.
Okay. Let me ask you this real quick.
Pandora's box.
Let me ask you this. All right, so I was watching a video with Jordan Belfort, Mr. Sales, the Wolf of Wall Street, and he's talking about that type of client that will sit there and talk and ask and talk and ask and talk and ask, and finally you realize this son of a bitch is never going to decide. He just likes this game. And it connected with me because I just had a guy. I was like the fifth attorney he had come to. And this little shit just wanted to just talk and test and talk, and like picking the attorney was more exciting than actually being represented for him. Do you ever get to clients, you're trying to sell to them, and you're like, I ain't wasting my damn time. Like, let's just go to the next one. Do you have that ever happen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when I was in the mortgage and finance industry. I mean, there's people that would nickel and dime us, well, geez, your attorney or title fees are $350 and I can get it for $348 from this guy. You know what my question is? What's important to you?
Yeah.
This guy's searching attorneys. Tell me, Bob, you've searched for 5 attorneys. What are you looking for?
Right.
What's important for you?
What the hell do you want?
Cut them off and just ask them. Get them right to the point. And what are you shopping for? Because and then sometimes you might have to say, if they say, well, okay, well, you said these 3 things are important to you. I can take care of those for you. Are you ready to move forward? Do you feel like you need to keep shopping? Yeah, sometimes you need to fire your clients. When we were in mortgage, I would say, this is the bottom line. Here's our fees. No disclosure. This is what it is. This is what we're locked in at. Right? I can do this for you. If you want to shop around, you told me what was important to you was your interest rate, the fees, and closing on time. I'm solving all 3 of those problems for you right now. Are you ready to move forward? Well, what about this? What about that? Okay, well, sure, I can take care of that. But let's go back to the things that you said were most important to you.
Right.
Call them back out on it. Because again, it all goes back to that. What they're telling you is important. We need to sell to. Oftentimes, we sell to what we think, what we want.
Right. That's right.
Listen to your client. Ask your client what they want. What's important to them. This guy that's shopping 5 times, nobody's probably asked him that.
He doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't know what the hell. He likes the game more than, he's just, anyway, but it was funny because Beryl was like, just shut it down, get the hell out, move to somebody who's ready to buy or sure close or something. All right, I'm running out of time, but I do want your opinion on one more thing. So there's different theories on, you get the lead. The lead calls in. You call the lead, no answer. You call the lead, no answer. You call the lead, you text the lead, you email the lead. How long do you call that person or keep trying before you say, okay, this was dead? What's your rule of thumb?
Yeah, good question. Well, I think you got to have a process down, right? What is your process for following up? Like, how often are you calling them and checking in with them? There's all the stats out there. Typically, a client needs to hear from you 6 to 8 times. 6
Right.
to 8 times before they might buy from you. So you might have a process, when we were, again, in the mortgage industry, we'd, follow up with people like wanting to refinance or buy a home or something like that. I think initially, you can do those initial calls and texts and emails, maybe then wait a week. Wait 10 days. If they're not responding, let's wait another 30 days. I think it really depends on what your product or your program or your service is. There's different timelines for things for people. So I think it can vary for people. But that's where I think people will go at it really hard and then they give up. And there's all those stats out there. A lot of salespeople make 1 or 2 phone calls and then they're like, oh, I'm done. And people actually, again, don't buy till at least, I don't have a chart in front of me, but I could send it to you. But people typically don't buy till the 6th or 8th time they've heard something. And that goes to marketing, it goes to sales, everything like that.
Right.
Most people aren't going to buy out of the get-go, off of the first shoot when you call them. They need to hear it a couple more times. They need to see it. So I think, and again, you don't want to be, that pesky salesperson where they see your number coming up going, God, why is he calling me again? Right. So I don't know if I have an exact
That's
answer
a tough
for
line
you,
there. You said 6 to 8. That's good. I've heard 8. I've heard 12. I've heard something crazy like 36. And I tell you, some of these guys that are in sales, they will seem so obnoxious, but they got the numbers. So it's like, where do you draw the line between obnoxious and realistic or whatever? It's sometimes it's a tough call because you paid a lot of money to get that person to call.
Yeah. And like you said, the leads are coming in. I mean, where, that it really kind of goes back to just qualifying the leads as well as, I talk about in my sales, I teach a class like the 7 steps in the sales process, right? There's always that lead generation, but then it's qualifying that lead. I mean, are you somebody that works at a trade fair, a trade booth or, a vendor fair, and people are putting their name in, because they want to win the gift card. So are they really interested in the product? I mean, am I going to spend calling this person 20 times for my roofing solution when all they really wanted was the gift card, right? So you kind of have to qualify those leads as well. Or, was there did you give away like a free inspection, right? If they're looking for a free inspection, there's something there. You got to uncover it. And again, that goes to leaving the voicemail. Hey, this is Stephanie, from the Sales Strategy Network. You mentioned, in your conversation or in your lead, that you want information about training for your team. Great. Tell me a little bit more about what are some important things about training for your team that you need, and then we can jump on a call and solve that. Try to, in that voicemail or that email, try to find out what was important to them. Why did they contact you? Why did they fill out the lead form? What are they looking for?
Yeah.
And I think that would kind of determine as well how much you're going to pester them, right? So
that's good. That's good advice.
Yeah. So just
all right. Well,
quick
listen.
Question.
Right.
Can I ask you one real quick? So, like when you're at Grant Cardone's thing, what was some of the things? Like, was there 1 or 2 things that he said he felt that really resonated with you that he said?
There was the sales one, and to be more specific, that was when he was interviewing Martha Stewart, which is kind of interesting. I didn't realize how famous she was. She's written like 150 books and all. I mean, she's amazing. So that was a big one. Nothing particularly. If you asked me that in 5 minutes, I'd probably have a different answer. Right now, it is mainly just Charlie Kirk was interviewed, and he said some stuff. I thought he was good. Alina Habba, Trump's attorney, was there. She's now working for the government, so she left big high pay that was going to the government. She said a few things that stood out, but now that you put me on the spot, they're escaping me.
Well, and I think
Grant's
he said primarily
energy
sales, right? Was what he talked about that resonated with was sales, that people need sales.
That's right. That was one other thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and it is, and I know we're running out of time, but you're right. I mean, I think you said in the beginning, we're all in the sales industry. I do this all the time to ask people, well, I'm not in sales. I work in operations. Okay, well, do you have anything to fix or repair or work on if you don't have the sales? We're all selling. If you're going on spring break on a trip, going out to dinner, you got to sell your family or your friends on where we're going to go for dinner, on what place we're going to go on vacation. We're always all selling. And that's where it just comes down to that DISC behavior style and the communication skills. You either got to sell the fun, you got to sell the results, the outcome, the price, whatever that person's behavior style is. You got to communicate what you want in a way that resonates with them to get them on board. And if you don't have sales, you don't have an operations team, you don't have a manufacturing team, if you can't master sales. And the foundation for sales and success is communication. All comes down to communication.
You got it. I totally agree. And it's so much money invested to get that lead into there so that you can sell. So it's a crying shame if you haven't mastered sales, because it's all for nothing. It's a lot of money to get those leads. Whether you're on Google, social media, you got a sales team, it doesn't matter. It takes a lot of effort. So
people talk about they spend all this money on all these CRM systems and billboards and everything. I'm like, well, then what are you going to do when the person calls you and you actually have to talk to them?
Right.
They haven't thought about that part, right? They got to figure out how to communicate. So I could talk all day about it.
I know. That's right. Well, listen, that has been a fantastic interview. I think that's great advice. Getting the 3 things they're most looking to handle and then solving those for them. That's brilliant. I agree with your categories. The DISC categories, that seems to be the types of people that I have worked with. I was sort of spotting myself as you were going through those too. So anyway, great information, Stephanie. I appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Matt. And just real quick, you can go to the salesstrategynetwork.com and you can download some resources about DISC. So I encourage you to do that. It's salesstrategynetwork.com. And on there, you can download for free the DISC chart. So it'll kind of give you that synopsis about each style and what resonates with them and how to sell to them. So it's really useful. At the salesstrategynetwork.com, download the free resources.
And are you a one-on-one coach, Stephanie? Should people call you for themselves or their company, or how do you work with the public?
Yep, absolutely. I do coaching, sales training, one-on-one, or I can come into your company virtually, or I love to do it in person so we really get that connection. But really, that small to mid-sized business, if you're struggling with kind of communications with your team, if you've got employee loss, turnover, employee retention, or you just want to grow your business to the next level, like everything's okay, but you're not growing and scaling, sales are not where you want them to be. That's where bringing me in, having me talk about sales and communication, it makes all the difference in the world. Every time I do a training, the team, you can see it, the light bulbs are going off. If you're a sales leader, I can do some training separately for the leadership team and the sales and operation team separately, so you kind of understand how to meld together. But on that salesstrategynetwork.com is also a link to my calendar. So I always encourage people, let's just talk about it. Tell me what's important to you. Tell me, what are your sales challenges? What's working for you? What's not? Let's talk through them and let's just see if this is a good fit for you, or if this training would benefit you personally or benefit your sales team. I'd love to just have a conversation with you about it.
Great. All right, y'all, I encourage you, give Stephanie a call. Remember, if you're trying to get more money in the door and let's say you're getting 10 leads and you close 3, your first thought might be, we need more leads. Let me spend more on Google. But I encourage you to call Stephanie and close, 6 of those leads rather than go spend more on Google. It's easy to get caught up in more leads, and you should just be selling better. So anyway, Stephanie, thank you very much for this information. This was a great interview.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Matt. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And everybody, listen, comment on the show. Tell me what you think. Did you learn anything? Do you agree with these categories? You want to add anything to the conversation? We would love to hear from you. Share this video and like it. We appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Hines on Air.
This program is being sponsored by Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines. The Law Offices of Matthew C. Hines helped all individuals who have been involved in a car accident, who have been injured at work, or have been arrested or given tickets. We make sure your rights are protected and that you receive all the benefits allowed under the law. Visit us at www.hineslaw.org, hineslaw.org.
Hines on Air is for you. Remember to subscribe, like, and leave a review whenever you listen to podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people and continue sharing these incredible stories.